Hi, it's Christine from the European Startup Association, and I'm here with David Bell, who's from the UK but currently in Spain, and he's one of our members. And I know him for a lot of years now, and really appreciate everything for me in my network and on my journey of my business, and everything he's done with startups and other businesses that he's supporting. So we're super happy to have you on board as a member, as a speaker at our previous event in Malmö in Sweden. But I'm going to hand over to you so that you can introduce yourself and what your company does.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. As Christina, firstly, Christina, actually, thank you very much for inviting me to come on today and have a chat with you. We've known each other for a number of years now and crossed paths many times at many different venues around the world. So it's a pleasure to, even though we're Skyping in on this, but it's a pleasure to do this. So yes, good morning. My name's David Bell and I'm the founder and CEO of Simboc Limited. Now, Simboc is a business consultancy and tech organization. We're helping startup businesses through to more established organizations think about their journey and think of how they can implement technology into their company to automate, systemize, and put into place processes that happen maybe while you're sleeping, while you're sitting on the beach, sipping on your cocktail because you're on holiday, or maybe, you know, the day-to-day stuff where we're out and about in meetings with other clients, suppliers and stuff like that. So it's all about taking day-to-day processes and making them just happen when they need to happen without having to have manual intervention all the time. So that's kind of how we're helping businesses today. As I say, my background is from technology. I left school at the tender age of 16 and went into setting up my first tech company. It was an IT company based in the UK in Essex. And we just looked after the B2B, so that's the business to business organizations. And gradually the company developed and we took on staff. And by the late 90s, we were quite well known for what we did. We were managing servers and optimizing platforms under Microsoft and supplying kind of all the hardware and peripherals around that. And this really great thing happened to us one day. A customer of ours come to us and said, look, I've got two sites a couple of miles apart, and we need to transmit data between the two for our computer network, for our telephony. Can you help us? And we sat there and we scratched our heads, and of course you can. You know, don't ever turn down an opportunity. And we found a connectivity solution which used wireless. Now, we all know wireless today. We use it on our laptops and our mobile devices. We go into a coffee shop or a restaurant or even at home, and we're connected to the Wi-Fi network for internet access, for data access. But back in the late 90s, this was in its infancy. So we helped the customer deploy a solution, and it was very niche. It was very profitable for us as an organization, and we saw a gap in the market. So the company then kind of transitioned from a general IT provider into a communications specialist. And we actually become Motorola's biggest application partner in the EMEA, so in Europe, Middle East and Africa. And we ended up with two offices in one in Johannesburg and one in Cape Town in South Africa, in North America near Detroit, in a little city called Fremont in Ohio, and also in the Middle East in Qatar as well. So we had quite a big global footprint. And we employed our prime 50 members. There was 50 members in the team, kind of dotted around those locations. And then one day, this strange thing happened. I woke up and I had this epiphany. I already had Simboc running in the background. It was my consulting, helping startups even back in 2013. And it was like, I want to go on that journey. So I sat down with my business partner and said to him, you know, how do you fancy buying my shares and taking the reins of the company after 20 years? And that was the day that probably was my midlife crisis, but transitioned me from being in the IT and tech, providing the solutions, more to working with the companies to think about the solutions. Mm. And that's kind of where it brings me with today. So yes, I'm sitting in sunny Spain today. Yeah, it's lovely here. I spend kind of 50% of my time living and working over here, and then the other 50% back in the UK.
Yes, thank you. Let's stick with the tech aspect then for a bit and see how we can help businesses in general. So do you have some top apps that businesses can use to help them with their business?
I always say there's an app for that. I work with so many different businesses, and they come up with a challenge, something that, you know, they say to me, oh, how can I do this? How can I do that? And I always say, well, before you go off and think about reinventing the wheel, let's have a look, because there's an app for that. So there's lots of things out there now, whether you're an Apple user, whether you're an Android user, whether you're using Microsoft, whether you're using iOS platforms, there's something out there.
Yes.
And sometimes you just have to do a little bit of delving. Google, fantastic. You know, put in there what it is you want to do, and I'm sure there'll be some hits and you'll find something. So there's a number of apps that I recommend to all businesses of all sizes, certainly from the startup aspect.
Yes.
And these apps don't have to cost big money. You know, some of them are absolutely, they are free for the base version. And yes, they tend to have, you know, an uplift. You pay a few dollars, pounds per month, euros, and that could go maybe to a little bit more. But they're very cheap and cost effective.
Yeah.
So for me, if I probably give you maybe a couple just to whet the appetite, but for me, note taking is really important. You know, when you're in meetings, when you're sitting there, and you have them epiphany moments of your own. You're going, oh, I need to take this information, but not all the time. Do we have a notepad and pen with us? I love paper and pen. There's something about it. You're in a meeting, it's much nicer to sit there and write. But digital note taking is awesome as well. So one of my top apps is Evernote. It's freely available in the App Store across all platforms. You can download a free version. There is a premium version for about €40 per annum, and that gives you a lot more enhanced features. But the benefits are you could be anywhere as long as you've got a mobile device, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your mobile, whether it's your iPad, etc. You can go in there and take notes. But it will also do voice recording. So you could be in a meeting, you could put your phone on the table, and obviously with permission, so to speak, record that conversation, and it will save it. You could take photos of the whiteboard or slides, etc., and store those in there. And if you still like handwriting, you can get yourself a stylus or a pen, and you can still write out your notes, do your sketches, do your drawings. Yeah. And it stores it all centrally in one place under OneNote. And like most things, you have a filing cabinet system where you can organize it by customers, by, you know, various different notes that you store, and it makes it searchable. So you can go onto any of your devices, need to recall that note. Maybe today I could put in there, you know, a meeting with Christina, and I could click on it and it would show me all my notes that are tagged and related to you.
Yeah.
So really, really powerful, great opportunity. But what's awesome about this one, if you still like a notepad and you still like to use a pen or a pencil, you can still draw those out. And then afterwards you can snap the note, save it electronically as like a photo, send it to Evernote. And what they will actually do is they will make that note searchable. So you'll still be able to search by the content that is handwritten. And it will store that electronically. So you can have the best of both worlds. You can have digital, and you can have traditional handwritten sketches or drawings, or obviously notes that you've taken. Yeah. So really, really, really good, fantastic day-to-day app that is available for anybody and everybody to use.
I have something to add, because what I use is Rocketbook.
Okay, yes, the white clean one.
Yes, so basically, yeah, you can wipe that one, and it works with Evernote integration as well, because it comes with an app. Because I do like paper and pen as well, but I got annoyed of having notebooks full of stuff that I probably never use again. And what do I do? And so yeah, it's the same thing. You can write on it, and it comes with a little QR code and some icons. Yeah. And you program the icons to go to a specific Evernote folder, for example. So you can say this folder is for all my meetings with Simboc, and then that just sends it right through there, and you can connect it to Evernote as well. Yeah, so that's a really good tip, really. Yeah.
And then you could follow on to that if you want to get a little bit smarter. So you've got the white clean, so you can take your notes, store them in Evernote. But if you're recording things digitally, so it could be this meeting we're having now, there's an audio feed to it. It could be you've recorded a meeting. It can even be on a dictaphone. If you're recording it onto your smartphone, even better. And then using an app called rev.com, you can go to that and you can upload your video, you can upload your audio, and they will actually transcribe that for you from typically round about $1. So it's done in dollars, but $1 per minute. There is a slightly lesser version, which is then AI done. So it's not as accurate, but it's slightly cheaper. And they will transition it and then send you back basically the transcribed document of that audio. So fantastic. You go into a meeting, you could be in there half an hour. You haven't got time to take all the minutes and type all those minutes up. You send it off to Rev within, I think in some cases within an hour, but within 24 hours, they will send back the electronic document in the preferred format, whether it's Word file or PDF. Yeah. And then you've got the transcribed document from that message, from that meeting or that video call like we're having now. So a really good, useful app. Yes, it has a cost to it, but the time saving alone, And if you was to bring in a virtual assistant, a VA, how much they'd charge for an hour to transcribe something. So, and you can use it ad hoc. It's there's no monthly fee. You just pay for the credits for the transcribing that you require. So really, really good. There's some other free ones out there. There's one I use called Otter, Otter, and that works on a mobile device. Does the same thing. It uses AI to transcribe. So it's not as accurate. It's still about 97, 98% accurate, but it's a free piece of software that you can use to transcribe voice to text. So it's really, really good for transcribing information as well.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And what you said is, just want to pick up on that, because people always say, oh, everything has to be free because I'm a startup. I don't have money, and a lot of business want to save money. But if you compare the time that you're going to use to do it yourself, to use a software or another person to outsource it, think about that, because your time is as valuable, or pretty much the most valuable thing you have when you have a startup, because there's 1 million things to do. So it's really, really important to think about, okay, value cost thing. I mean, if you would spend 500 euros to transcribe something, it's a bit different. But if it's 50 euros, or if you said it's $1 per minute, then that's really pretty much nothing. Yeah.
And another really good app, I think this is a really useful one, certainly for startups. If you're in the transition of having to record videos, so good quality content to share with your audience, and I know we're going to touch on maybe some public speaking bits and stuff like that, but if you're having to maybe record a product video or tell the world who you are, what you do, why you do it, and you want to share that through video, so uploading it to the likes of YouTube or Facebook or wherever that platform is, some people get really worried about sitting in front of a camera. And recording a product style type video. What do I say? How do I say it? Will I forget what I'm meant to talk about? So a really good tool is one that allows you to kind of use an auto cue. Now it's called Teleprompter. And again, it's available in the app stores. You can download it. They have a free of charge version. So again, it's great if you've got no money, but even the full paid version is like €8 or €9. So it's very cost effective. What it allows you to do is actually script out in advance what the messages you want to say. So you script it out and then you upload it into your device. So again, doesn't matter what it is, what platform it is, but your laptop or your iPad. And it uses the camera to record you like it's recording us now having this conversation. But over the top, it actually puts your auto cue, so the script that you've created. And as you read, it listens to your voice and it would advance that auto cue. If you stop speaking, the text will stop. If you carry on, it will carry on advancing. So it's now like being a professional. If you think of newsreaders in a studio, you think of big events when they have an auto cue screen, they're reading that information. You can now have the same tools available to you for very, very, very low cost. It looks extremely professional. You have to be a little bit careful you don't come across too wooden because you're sitting there just reading the text. And the top tip is you must set the camera at the right distance away from where you're talking. So in other words, when you're reading the text from left to right on the screen, you don't see your eyes kind of, working across. So if you get that distance just about right, then you're looking at the screen. You don't need to move your eyes. You're just reading the text, and it looks very, very good, very, very good. And it allows the user who's obviously putting together that information to communicate accurately, get across the right facts, the right figures in the right order at the right time. So Teleprompter, available in all the app stores for all devices, but super useful. Once you get used to it, you'll throw it away anyway because you'll be awesome at delivering the content. You won't need that teleprompter. You'll be able to just freely talk as long as you've done some planning in advance.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I'm going to also make sure I'm going to write down all these apps for myself to check them out, because some of them I don't know. So that's amazing. Thank you.
There's a green screen one as well, where you can have a green screen behind you in the same teleprompter, and then you could be sitting on the back of a yacht, you could be in the desert, you could be in Antarctica, you can put whatever photo background you want on there, a bit like they do sometimes in the real world, when the news reporter's standing in Las Vegas, but really is in the studio in London.
This is what you're doing at the moment. You're not in Spain, actually. You're just...
This here is all fake.
You're actually in a grey little box somewhere in London or something.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, amazing. And any tips for how to use technology in business? I mean, all of this is already super helpful with the apps, but any specific ones to how to simplify, to manage, and to automate processes? And all of this is already helping to be more productive, really, and to save some time.
Yeah, and I think that's the key there. I think the word that you've used is about productivity. It's finding things that integrate and work together. So using your Rocket Mail book, you can link that into Evernote. So you can use that, you can connect it into the Evernote, then you've got your notes all stored digitally. And it's finding things that do integrate. And most things today are kind of working on an open source platform where they will connect and will talk. But for me, I think the biggest thing is look at your business idea. If you're a startup, or look at your business if it's even established, and look at the things that you're having to keep doing every single day. There's 3 letters for me, and it's called DOA, and that stands for, if you've got something that needs doing, you either delegate it. So find someone that you can delegate it to. That might be someone in the team. It might be someone you can, as a friend or a relative that could help you do that task.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't delegate it, can you outsource it? Can you find someone that you can pay, potentially in most cases, so it could be a virtual assistant, it could be an application, a piece of software, something like that. But who could you outsource it to?
Yeah.
Who could take it away from it? Because as you said, time is of an essence. There's one thing we can't buy, and that's more time. So if we can't delegate it, we outsource it. And if we can't do either of those, can we automate it? Can we find something that's going to do it on a day-to-day basis automatically for us? And that's where you look at the applications, the software that's already available without having to spend fortunes to actually make that happen. So to automate those, in some cases, they will be boring tasks.
Yeah.
Some cases, they will be lengthy tasks, which are stealing that valuable time from you. So the DOA, 3 letters, delegate, outsource, automate, super important for moving your business forward to the next step.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's really good. I would like to add something to that, because with the European Startup Association, I have to handle more contacts than ever before in different countries. And it's impossible for me to remember all of the specific names and who was who, and who do we know in the Netherlands, who do we know in Malmo, who do we know in Turin, because I mean, the networking was always a thing of mine anyway, having a lot of people in my network. And I think it's one of the most valuable things that you can have for your business. But keeping track of all this, we started off with like an Excel sheet with different tabs for the different countries. And I was like, this is not going to work. Okay, so how do we do this right at the beginning? And I think this is the question you need to ask yourself when you start automating, when you start systemizing things in your business. Okay, what will work in the future best if you grow and grow and grow this? And don't give up by setting it up correctly right from the beginning. Because then we started looking into customer CRM systems. Okay, how can we keep track of things? How can we tag people? How can we then make sure to, in the future, when we have 1 million contacts, to systemize that and easily find them in a system with some tags like Evernote or something. So if you do it right from the beginning, and it took me probably 3 days, 3 full days to set it up properly the way we wanted, and feeding everyone in, all our speakers, including you, all our volunteers, all our investors, all of our contacts in cities and so on, set them up properly, tag them all, put all the information in I had, and do that correctly. And it was super annoying, but I know, I knew at that point already, okay, I just have to get through this, and then I don't have to touch it again, and I can easily find all of you guys in an easy way with one tap or one search word or something. So I just want to tell startups, if you're using any of this, if you're systemizing, if you're automating, there probably is some work to do upfront, but it will be worth it.
Yeah, I think with anything you do, there's always going to be the work up front. But once you spend that time, that valuable time up front, once you do that, it's going to save you lots of time going forward. CRM system, I would highly, people sometimes leave it too late. They kind of do it 9 months, 12 months down the line, and then they've got to go back and do everything they've already done. In the most basic format, a spreadsheet, yes, is going to do the job. It is basic, and there's a lot of things that you can tweak and do with it. But CRM systems now are available off the shelf, pre-made. can be bespoke to your needs. And again, from a startup perspective, up to maybe 1,000 contacts, 2,500, they're free. So you don't even have to, you can start today, put a CRM system into place. It will have limitations, but as soon as you're ready, you can then upgrade and pay for the user cost per month for, 10, 12 pounds up to, 50, 60 pounds, euros, as your company grows and develops. But start the way you mean to go on, even down to accounts as well. A lot of people go, well, I'll just have a shoebox, throw all my receipts in it, and I'll sort it out another day.
These times.
But I would highly suggest start with a good online cloud accounting package, something like Xero, QuickBooks, Cashflow. There's lots of them out there. They're just three off the top of my head. There is Sage as well. Xero is my preference. It's I find it the most powerful platform and integrates very well, and it's very cost effective. Multi-currency, so you can take all the different currencies. I think it works out about €30 per month, and there's lots of introductory offers, 6 months half price, etc. Yeah. So I always say to startups, I know it's always hard. You've got limited cash, limited income. You've got to go and find the sales to bring more money to the table, but try to put into place some of the fundamental things, and that's the management of your business. And if you get that right, it becomes simple and it becomes easy for you to manage going forwards.
Yes, I completely agree. Okay, I just want to touch on two more things because you mentioned public speaking, and you're an excellent public speaker, and I know you learned it along the way. It's not like a specific training that you've done right from the beginning, same as me and same as probably all public speakers. But why do you think it's, and I just assume you do, because I know how powerful public speaking can be, but for startups, why is this maybe one of the marketing tools, one of the tools they can use to market their business really as a startup? Why is public speaking something they can do, apart from it being free, that you maybe don't have to invest in anything specific, apart from your time, which is also very valuable. But from your perspective, is that something startups should use, and why?
Yeah, I think all startups, all businesses should consider, speaking in public. Now, that speaking in public doesn't have to be to a huge audience of 10,000. It could be you go along to deliver your pitch, for investment, and you might only have 2 or 3 people in the room. You're still speaking publicly, but within a closed environment. The thing to me is public speaking is so powerful because while you're having that conversation, and it is a conversation, even though in most cases when you're doing the speaking, they're listening, but they do get the opportunity to, interact with you, ask questions, or you're asking the questions, be it they might be rhetorical sometimes, or you might be asking them to put their hand in the air. You're getting feedback. And public speaking, there's lots of opportunities out there where you can go along, stand up, introduce who you are, even if sometimes it's as short as a 1-minute breakfast meeting or something, through to maybe doing an hour delivery at a workshop or a seminar or keynotes, and it allows you to inform your audience. Yes. My key is don't sell. You're not there. I mean, there's lots of people out there sell from stage, and that's fine. That's the way they work, and they make fantastic money from doing it. But the way I like to work is inform, educate, and then give people enough information that they want to continue the conversation afterwards. Yeah. I hated public speaking. I set up in business, I was 17, 18 years old, and I knew someone had to do it. My business partner at the time, he wasn't the limelight. He didn't want to be front of house, if you like. He preferred to be in the background. He's very technical and kind of sat behind the scenes. So I kind of had to just get up and do it. And I hated it. And my hands were sweaty, my heart was beating, and I could feel I was going red, or that's what it felt like. And I always said to people, over time, it becomes easier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. The easier it becomes, the more you do it. And all of a sudden it becomes a bit like, not that I know what drugs are like, but it's a bit like a drug. You want more of it. So you then find more opportunities, and you go out there and you start to say, I can help. Is there an opportunity? I'll come along and speak. But most times they're free. Sometimes, if you're lucky and you'll get paid for it as well. So, and good speakers, if you're good at what you deliver, can earn good money. Anything from £1,500 up to £4,000 or £5,000 per day, and that's plus expenses. So if you do position yourself right and you're good at what you do, then you can make a good additional income on top of it. Yeah. But for me, it's about informing your audience. It's about giving them the choice. It's about saying, this is who I am, this is what we do, and this is the solution to the problem that we can provide. and do it with lots of stories, lots of smiles, good quality content, explain what you mean. And my top tip for any public speaking is the 3 Ps, and that's the planning, the preparation, and the practice. If you just do those 3 things, when you know you've got a talk coming up in a month's time, do the planning, think about what you need to say, maybe script it out, think about the tools that you need to take, the slides that you're going to use, who your audience are, how you're going to dress, what, of course, what I'm looking for, things that you'll take along for the kind of a show and tell. Think about those as well. That is so important. Get that bit wrong, and things won't go to plan. And not you'll look silly, but it won't be as good as you want it to be. So planning, preparation, practice, 3 Ps is the ultimate number 1 top tip for speaking to your audience.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I would like to say one thing, because a lot of people are not just scared of public speaking, but they think like, I don't have anything to talk about because I don't have a specific great knowledge. I didn't have a massive story. So I just want to take this away from everyone, because yes, everyone has something to talk about, because every single person knows something that other people might not know. So even if it's about your startup, so it could be, like you said, just introducing yourself and telling the story why you started your startup. And again, this doesn't have to be a dramatic one where something happened in your life. Like a lot of motivational speakers, they had unfortunate incidents happen in their life, and this is why they did something. But it could have been also something positive. But the reason why you started your own business is already something to create a story around and that you can talk about. Same as top tips of something, or some industry insights of in the industry that you're working in. So I just wanted to say, for everyone who thinks like, I don't have anything to talk about, you do. You have some.
Everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does, and you have something that other people don't know about. Yeah. And it's always.
And don't fear. I know it's uncomfortable at first. If you've never stood up in front of an audience, everyone has that kind of moment where things are going to go wrong. I find it, actually, I'd say the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the more you speak as well, you build up a toolbox of content and information, and it might be presentation slides. So then someone turns around in a year or two's time and says, we're looking for a speaker. You can be the first to put your hand up and say, I can do it, because you've already got some real good quality content. You feel quite, comfortable in standing up and, talking to an audience maybe or you don't know. And I think it's powerful, because the top thing about public speaking is it's so cost effective to market who you are. You don't have to pay huge amounts of money, sending out, letters or, advertising on social media, etc. You can go find the venues, and they're always looking for speakers.
Yes.
Make sure you've got something that's interesting, fun, it hasn't got to be comical. Try not to be a comedian if you're not, because that doesn't work. It can go down like a lead balloon. And just share your story. And you're right, everybody has a story to share. For most, they go, well, it's not interesting. It might not be to you because you've been there, done it, a million times. But to others, it will be of interest.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm on the same page like you. It's not too much about selling. And yes, it can be very effective. But I think you're selling yourself already anyway. If you show who you are, if you show your expertise, you're indirectly selling what you're doing. So it's not necessary to say, oh, and you can buy this program for this. And if you buy it in the next 2 hours, you can save this, which can be cost effective, and you can do it. It's nothing wrong with this. But if you do it, you need to prove first that it's worth buying something from you. And this is by showing your expertise. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Amazing. So many amazing tips, apps, things that you can do for public speaking, to automate, to use technology for your advantage for your business. So as usual, thank you so much. It was very insightful. And I'm looking forward to staying connecting with you and with our association and everything else that we're doing anyway. So thank you for your time. Anything else to say, or that I don't want to cut you off now, but if there was anything you want to say.
No, through yourselves, if anyone's got any questions, fire them through to you or directly to me. I'm more than happy. I'd love people to connect with me on LinkedIn and share their stories, because I find it so useful to actually hear and listen to what others are doing, what others are achieving. That's a motivational point from my perspective. You're being driven by others. And I think that's a great thing about what you're offering in the community, is that you're connecting people to share those stories and support each other. And we all know running a business at times, let's be honest, it can get kind of a drain on you. It can be challenging, and it can become lonely if you don't have, people around you, other like-minded business owners to bounce ideas off and collaborate with. So I think the European Startup Festival as a community is what businesses need. And if we can all keep building that and developing that, then it will be something of, greatness in the future, definitely. Even though it is now, it will become even greater.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Well, then, thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Christine. All the best. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.